So you may have heard me talk about building a profit generating machine in your business. Today, I just want to go a little further and define what that looks like in general and walk you through the steps or the ingredients in that profit recipe. Here are the ingredients: leads. We can't build a profit machine without leads. Conversions. We have to be able to convert those leads more efficiently and more often. And then there's transaction value. We always want to be looking at ways that we can increase the average ticket value for our customers when they purchase from us. And then there's frequency. We want to look at how often our customers are buying and can we increase the frequency in which they do. All those things together create a lifetime value. And ultimately, our goal is to increase the lifetime value for that client. The last piece for this profit machine is the actual gross margin on whatever it is you sell. That's a lever when we pull as an exponential impact on your business. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So let's get into building this profit machine. Let's go. Okay, so I've created just a very simple chart here, and we'll walk through this. Let's assume for this exercise that we're talking about a business that, let's say, it has 100 existing customers. Just to give us round math, because I'm old and I don't like doing math. Okay, so we're starting with 100 customers. Let's say before this process, this business was able to generate 10, let's call it 10 leads a month. Okay. So if we implemented strategies to increase the leads, right? And there's several ways we can do this: a drip campaign, joint venture relationships, referral partners, ads. There are about 18 different ways to pull that lead lever that we work with our clients on. Just know that there are a lot of ways that you can affect that. But let's stay really, really conservative and just say it's just going to be a 10% increase, that all of our things that we do, all our tactics, is going to generate just a 10% increase. So instead of 10 leads a month, now we're going to have 11 leads a month. Make sense? Continuing this exercise, let's say before we got really, really intentional, this business was closing 20%. Let's just pick a very conservative number. So 20%, 1 in 5, they're able to close. And the strategies that we work on, we improve the efficiency, they're closing better, and they're more efficient. So let's just say, for the sake of conversation, just 10%. So 20% goes to 22%. Okay? So just to recap, we're increasing leads from 10 to 11. We're closing from 20% to 22%, right? These are just little ticks, but they're going to add up in an amazing way. In just a minute, you'll see. Okay, so we've increased our leads, we've increased our conversions, now ticket value. Ultimately, we want to help our clients and our customers spend more with them. And there's several ways that you can do it. Like I mentioned earlier, you can have a bundling strategy. You can have an upsell, cross-sell. At the time that buyer is becoming a customer, they're actually in that buying mode, there's a great opportunity for you to present other buying options for them. And that's a strategy or that's a discussion for another day. But just know there's a great opportunity. It's not terribly difficult to nudge a customer to a little higher ticket value. But let's say the average ticket value for this business is $100. And again, we're just going to say very simple 10%, right? 10% math. So instead of $100, it's going to be $110. So 10% increase, we go from 10 to 11 leads, from 20% to 22% as a closing percentage, and we're getting them to spend $10 more per transaction. So now let's go to frequency. So frequency is one of those things that has the ability to really jump your business. And for some businesses, it's not a viable strategy. If what you sell is sort of a one and done type of thing, take a lawyer that just does wills and estates. Someone comes in, they get a will and estate done. Maybe a handful of years later, they'll come and they'll update it. So there's really not a practical way to get them to spend more frequently without you offering new things. So for the sake of conversation, let's just say that frequency is a great profit lever to pull on, but not every business has that, or if they do, it doesn't look just like every other business. In this hypothetical business, let's say that their customers are purchasing 3 times a year. Okay. Now, for math's sake, because I don't want to do a half a time, for frequency, let's say that we've got strategies to put in place to help them spend or to get one more transaction from them. So we're going to go from 3 to 4. How much we make on each item we sell, not net profit, but gross profit. There are things that we can do as a business owner that work to increase the gross profit. If you're selling a product, that might be buying materials for less money, or carrying inventory, or if you're working with partners on a service side, that could be packaging your services with them a little differently. There are ways that you can reduce your cost to produce whatever it is that you sell, an hour of your time or one widget. Gross margin is an extremely important number for a business, and I'll go into that another time. But let's say that this business's gross margin is, say, 50%. Okay. And again, we're going to kind of stay with this conservative, that all our focus and energy on increasing that we can get a 10, actually, let's say 5%. Let's just keep it easy. So let's say we can get a 5% improvement on our gross margins. So that'd be, so let's do some math and see what all of these changes add up to in terms of profit. Okay, this is where it gets really cool. The 10 leads converting at 20%, that is 2 new customers at a ticket value of $200. That's $200 more. We're getting them to purchase 3 times a year. That's $600 a year. And if our gross margin is 50%, that means that our gross profit is $300. That's based on current, without making any changes. Now, granted, this does not consider the purchasing of their existing client base and doing reactivation campaigns to focus on increasing their spend and frequency. This is just looking at, from a lead generation machine, what's going to happen. So over here, this is what I get for using numbers like this. The math is messy, but we'll follow this and see what it leads to. So this conversion, instead of 2, we're going to get 2.5 people. Do you know anybody that's a half a person? Okay. So instead of $100, they're spending $110. So 2.5 people at $110, that's 275. Yeah. Okay. So we're getting them to buy 4 times instead of 3 times. That will be 1,100. Went from 600 to 1,100. Okay. And then last but not least, our gross margin. So basically, we were able to produce whatever it is that we're selling, an hour of time or a product, a widget, and improve that by 2.5%. So that increase is going to yield $575. So this is a super, super simple explanation. And I just think it speaks to the simplicity of a few things. Not trying to get to your goal of an increased profit number by going big on one thing. For instance, leads. We need to triple, quadruple the amount of leads we get, or we need to hire a whole new team of closers to get those leads into customers. You don't have to do that. Granted, that's part of the scaling process, but initially when you're trying to increase ultimately your bottom line, you are pulling on these levers one by one, and you don't have to move them a ton, right? The beauty of this is that it's like compounding interest. You move one lever, the starting point for the next lever is a little bit higher, and then the next one is a little bit higher, and it just works on top of each other. So I hope this makes sense. This is the foundation of creating a business that runs on autopilot. If you do this well, you'll never have to worry about lead. You'll never have to worry about top line revenue, because once this is in place, then you throw resources and energy at each one of these levers at different points, and your business responds. Mathematically, your business responds. Now, on the flip side of it, if your business is getting bad at converting, you'll be able to see mathematically where the issue is. I have terrible handwriting. I hope you can read that. Simple explanation.